We'll go one by one. Alright. First we have release. AA damage will go up by 2. AA damage from what? This is like spider form or what? Like I don't get it. It's spider form AA damage, right? AA healing will go up by 2%, which is again I think spider form if I'm not mistaken. And then E stun duration will go up by 0.4 max rank. Now, I don't think the first buff is very huge. I don't think it does really anything. But this stun duration, I mean, honestly, like, I don't get it, dude. Like, I just don't get it, man. I don't know why Riot is buffing stuns to be more than 2 seconds. Stun, slow snare, whatever it is. It's already so hard to get CC tenacity. I don't get it, man. Like, I hate when Riot buffs CC. In my opinion, CC needs to be nerfed. I would much rather Riot just slap 50 damage on an elite spell than see this, which is the Cocoon being buffed. Now, it doesn't do anything on rank 1. And it's most likely not going to make Elise max E second, but maybe it will. Maybe Elise jungle in comparative play will max E second. And then you're gonna get stunned at level 13 for 2.4 seconds, man. This is like a huge deal. ADC is in general, tends to be the only class in the game that can get tenacity via clans or QSS. Not always, but sometimes. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I hate it. Whatever. Gnar. Yesterday I said, I hope Riot will not buff Mega Gnar. What does Riot do? They buff Mega Gnar. Mega Gnar damage is going up. I don't know. I'm really not a fan of how Riot is approaching Gnar. I'm really not a fan. Mega Gnar is reaching the point. Mega Gnar is reaching the point where in early game, and we're talking from like level 1 to 7, around there. If you lane against Mega Gnar, you have to just give him push and you let him do anything he wants, because Mega Gnar will fucking destroy you. Like, it is uncontestable in lane. He one-shots wave, so he has like permanent wave clear. He literally one-shots the wave. The boulder on Q that he picks up refunds almost the entire cooldown of the ability. I don't know, man. Honestly, like, this is not even that big of a buff, if I'm being honest, because... Actually, no, it is. Never mind, I'm wrong, because this is a buff early game and late game. I thought it's only a scaling buff, but I just realized it's a buff on rank 1 too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's nothing to say here. Mega Gnar already stat checks 90% of matchups. He will continue to stat check all of them. Like, nothing to say. Lux mid lane. Okay, Lux mid lane. So about the Lux thing, okay? The thing about the Lux thing is that I saw a lot of people complaining that this is not a Lux mid buff, but it's a Lux mid nerf and a Lux support buff, okay? Which is... Let's just see if it's true. Let's just see if that is actually a factual statement. Mana regen down by 1, passive damage up by 10, rank 1, 10 I guess in general, and 5% more scale. Q cooldown will go down by ranks again. This used to be a thing already in the past. And E damage will go down by 5 flat. Alright, let's just start with the obvious. There is no way in the world this is a Lux mid nerf. Ever. It just... People, like, I saw so many comments on Twitter and Reddit saying, oh, you pick Lux mid because of wave clear and now you're nerfing her wave clear. No, this does not nerf her wave clear, man. She either overkills the minions or she kills them with one auto attack after or double E. It literally changes fucking virtually nothing. Her wave clear is still good. It's 5 damage, man. It's so little. Q is just a straight up buff. Your passive is just straight up getting buffed. And this mana regen just does not matter because you play mid lane. To be honest, like, support Lux, right? If you play support Lux and you don't buy mandate, if you do buy mandate, then it is a nerf to support Lux in terms of mana regen, yeah. Because when when I played support Lux and I did the mandate build, like, yeah, she had mana problems a little bit, and now you're touching her mana region, right? But how in the, like, this cannot be a Lux mid nerf in any world. And in my opinion, this is a bigger buff to mid lane than support. Just looking at this outright. You're putting Q cooldown incentives up, so Q maxing, which is, you just get it on mid lane way faster than you do on support, right? You get more AP on mid lane than you do support past early game. Eventually you'll get more AP, right? You don't have to buy tier anymore because of Lost Chapter buff. Also. Like, yeah, I mean, this is a nice Lux mid buff. And yeah, maybe on Lux support you actually might max Q now. Maybe. I'm not sure. Probably not, to be honest. But there is a world where maybe you max Q on Lux support. But it's a buff to support. It's probably a buff to mid lane. Like, I think it's a buff to both roles. Good Lux players will get a buff here from on both roles. There's nothing to say here. Like, I don't know how some people were trying to justify this is a mid lane nerf. It's just not. Everything is almost getting buffed here. Like, what else do they want? I don't get it. Like, these are pretty big buffs, honestly. I'm kind of afraid of these buffs. Orianna. Alright, I was hoping for 5 movement speed. We're not getting 5 movement speed. We're getting is that not that small of a buff, to be honest. 5 health growth. So it's gonna be like what? 180 HP, I think it is, right? 180 HP at level 18. It's not too bad, considering she's a pretty squishy champion and needs durability really badly since she has lack of mobility. And W damage goes up by 30. 30 damage, hey, that's no joke. That's no joke. 30 damage is a lot, especially this ability gets casted a lot. Now the thing about Orianna is, like, I was thinking, 95 buff at level 18. Oh yeah, you're right, it's not 180, it's 95. No, it's not 95. Wait, it can be 95. It's 90, yeah, it's 90. My bad, I did the math wrong. I mean, 90 HP buff is still nice, honestly. Like, any durability buff on Orianna is just very nice. And yeah, this W buff, W is obviously the bigger buff here. And I don't know, man. I was thinking maybe you max W on Orianna, but I don't think you will. I don't think you will. Because she's too mana hungry to max W. You're still gonna max it second, but yeah, it's a nice buff. They're finally giving Orianna more damage in other places than R. Because R is a one-time ability, and it's a long cooldown. This is a buff to an ability that you cast a lot. Didn't you used to max W back in Season 6? Yeah. In old seasons, people used to max W on Orianna. But the thing is, in old seasons it was incorrect. Q was even better at that point. I remember it because I was playing it. I think these are nice Orianna buffs. We're gonna see her in meta. Not sure. She's still going to be the same champion. She's still going to be primary a scaling champion and utility champion. I don't know. The problem I have... So here's these buffs, right? So the buffs make Orianna better, but it doesn't really make her less frustrating to play. The frustration part about Orianna is her lack of mobility, her too high mana costs, running out of mana, and very squishiness. That's the frustration part. This doesn't really address much of that. But I'm still happy they're buffing her. Samira, 30 HP, buff. Very good for early game. Twisted Fate. Man, I swear, like, how I saw this yesterday, I was just like, Riot is just like making the most useless buff in the world, man. It's just not going to change anything in TF, that's all I can say. This is the most irrelevant, worthless buff. They could buff this ability by another 20% and I'm still gonna think it's probably dog shit. This buff is so fucking worthless. This champ has so many problems and they are like, oh, we're gonna give it 10 more AP ratio. It's so fucking worthless. Like, words can't describe how worthless this is. Tryndamere. Okay, so I want people to not get baited here. Okay, so I don't know how this happens, but when Riot does this patch preview, by the way, which still, I don't know why they do it, they shouldn't even release this shit. They put a number, 175, right? But it's not actually 175, because then you watch Freak patch rundown and he says it's only buffed by 25. So apparently it's 150, it's not 20, it's not 175. So apparently they're buffing this by only 25 range, not by 50. Okay, so don't get baited. Now, here's the thing. I genuinely think if Tryndamere got a 50 range buff, I was talking to Ranger yesterday, I genuinely think if this champion got 50 range buff, he would be overpowered in solo queue. Because he's in high elo only. Because high elo players will abuse the range way more. His early game is way too oppressive. He will be unbeatable in lane against so many things. Like, he will even be able to occasionally beat Jax now because he will be able to outspace his autos in early game way harder. Now Jax would outscale him anyway, but I'm just saying. Now 25 25 range buff, I don't think it's going to make him OP. It's just going to make him slightly better. I honestly don't think it's. I mean, it's gonna be. He's going to be like better, yeah, but I don't think it's gonna make him OP. It's an interesting buff. Honestly, not something I expected. I expected like anything but a range. Honestly, this is the last thing I expected Riot would buff. I'm very curious to see how this is gonna go. I'm definitely gonna try Tryndamere. I'm very curious how this is gonna feel. Vex. Yeah, Riot putting a Vex buff into the game. It's 50. I just explained it's 25. Vex is going to get 10 damage on Q. And then double cooldown gonna go down by 4 seconds. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. And then R will now ping if enemies are... You can ping R now to see if enemies are in range, which is like nice. So let's talk about Vex. 10 damage on Q. It is her strongest ability. It's the most spammable ability. It's a decent buff. It's mostly an early game buff, which is where she shines. I don't mind it. W buff, 4 less seconds. This only is, this is a big difference maker in our matchups, but especially in mini matchups where you can use your W for shield and damage. It's a decent Vex buff. Do I think Vex is good? Nope. Not good enough. I don't think this will be good enough for high elo play. It's still a decent Vex buff. Next thing is Zoe. HP regen up by 1. So buffing her laning phase, which is already the strong point of her of Zoe. E-sleep duration is up by 0.25, and E-magic duration, magic resist reduction will go down, will go to 30% every rank, which basically is going to be a damage buff. Now the thing about Zoe is that I have no fucking clue what Riot is smoking. Again, this actually matters a lot. This matters a lot. E-magic duration shot matters a lot. It's going to put a lot of damage into her laning phase. If you reach late game, aka 4 to 5 items, I fully expect Zoe to still be garbage. But my problem here is that these buffs make Zoe way more frustrating to play against than anything else they could have buffed. And I especially mean the sleep duration. This is going to completely fuck up champions that buy mercs into Zoe. Why? Because at certain ranges when you bought mercs into Zoe, you could have outkited the sleep into Q, because the sleep would end before the Q could hit. On certain ranges, when you played against Zoe, this were happening. It's not going to happen anymore. I think this is going to make mercs infinitely a worse buy against Zoe. In all honesty, I think mercs will not be a buy against Zoe anymore, because it doesn't do anything anymore. Mercs will genuinely do nothing anymore against Zoe. From my experience, playing against Zoe. It completely fucks up the timer with mercs. And honestly, like, I don't know. I don't know why they do this. I don't understand it. It frustrates me so hard that they're buffing CC again. And this also, magic resistance reduction, like, this is big. People shouldn't be sleeping on that. This makes items like Null Magic Mantle even worse against her because of this fucking duration resistance threat. Basically, Zoe is just like really frustrating because you're just playing a minigame against Zoe, whether she hits sleep or not. Without like Zoe's power budget is so much around sleep. If you don't hit the sleep, she feels half more useless. That's the problem with Zoe. Now let's talk about the nerf section. Kane losing 0.2 AD ratio. Deserved nerf. Good riddance. Please nerf him harder. Kha'Zix losing 0.5% AD ratio on Q. Now keep in note that this ratio is actually doubled if you're isolated. So he's actually losing 1 in case you're isolated. I honestly think it might kill Kha'Zix in a way in Hyla. Because he already lost 3 AD last time. I know how much this type of damage nerfs on Kha'Zix Q, his main ability, impact him. It's a massive nerf. And yeah, might be goodbye for Kha'Zix. Kindred losing 20% slow on E. That's very big because a lot of times Kindred in early game when she's Eing people, she's playing on the edge of her range, and 20% less slow means that a lot of times the opponents will now escape her last auto attack before the mark gets deployed. E missing HP damage is also gonna go down by 3% flat, which is going to impact her at every level. I think Agron said that Kha'Zix nerf is nothing. It's not. It's wrong. Riot did nerfs like this in the past. Riot did Q ratio nerfs in the past. The moment they nerfed Q ratio by 1% or whatever, Kha'Zix fell out of meta. He was never played again ever. Like, this has happened already 500 times. Every time they buff this ability, Kha'Zix becomes meta. Every time they nerf the ability, Kha'Zix falls out of meta. Kindred nerfs also pretty decent. Naafiri, base health down by 15. Passive CD up by 5 at every level. New packmates take 100% bonus damage from champion melee attacks. So melee attacks will now kill the passive better. QW heal will go down by 20. QW minimum damage will go down by 5. QW max damage will go down by 10. E first hit ratio will go down by 10%. E second hit ratio will go down by 10%. I mean, Naafiri is just getting gutted patch after patch. Naafiri is walking into Aurelion Sol's footsteps. Okay. Shoes, I guess, or whatever's. Aurelion Sol got nerfed patch after patch. Naafiri is following the same path. Yeah, goodbye Naafiri. I mean, she's already bad. It is what it is. Goodbye Naafiri. Her design is terrible anyway, so I'm happy I'm not gonna be playing against this charge jump. Zard support. Base mana region down. Passive unit cooldown restore up, which is what I predicted yesterday. W mana cost up by 10. It is true, this will be a bigger nerf to support than Midland Zard. I do think this is probably a nerf to Midland Zard as well, but not a big one. And I think Zard is kind of the same champion mid, to be honest. Okay, champion adjustments. This gets really interesting. So first we have Aatrox. Okay, this is really interesting. So passive and W of Aatrox will now do magic damage. Now this is a big change. In a way, it is a damage buff because champions have less MR than they do armor until late game. But lethality builds are getting nerfed here because his passive on W will no longer work with lethality, right? So, and then on top of that, the passive is going to heal you less because of that, right? So he's losing healing. It's very interesting. I don't know how to feel about it. If I understand this correctly, it might be an early game buff, but a late game nerf, but I could be wrong. It's a nerf for sure later on, having magic damage. I thought, like when I saw this yesterday, I thought he was just buff, but when I think about it after some time, I don't think it's just a buff, it's also a nerf. I don't know. I think it's probably a nerf to the champ overall. Action. He has 3 more health growth and 0.5 more armor, but he's going to lose 0.580. He's going to lose 0.580. The way I look at this is, in high elo, this should be a nerf to the champion. I don't think you care more about durability on action when you're a range champion, you have mobility, than you do about killing people fast with your damage. So, as much as he might be a bit tankier late game, I think the loss of damage is actually a nerf to the champ. I think Auction is getting nerfed here. Yeah. I think Auction is getting nerfed. Getting Jinx, thanks for subbing. Then we have Blitz. He has more health, 4 more MR, less attack speed. Last attack speed again. Passive shield is going to be flat 30, so early game buff, late game nerf. Which is probably a buff to the champion, because early game passive matters way more than late game passive. I think the passive change is straight up a buff. W mana cost is down by 10. W attack speed is down as well a bit. W no longer grants bonus magic damage on hit, so he's going to be losing a lot of damage here with auto attacks. E mana cost is going to go down by 15. E AD ratio is going to go up. So I guess, if I'm understanding this correctly, you can take like double AD shards now on Blitz to do more damage early game if you want to. Remove bonus damage against minions and monsters. Are passing now this additional 2% max mana damage. Very interesting, very interesting. This is very, very interesting in my opinion. This is obviously jungle Blitzcrank nerf, in my opinion, for support Blitzcrank. This is probably a buff in general. I think it's a buff to the champ. I kinda like these changes. I think Ra did good job here on Blitzcrank. Not much to say, to be honest. He's just gonna have way more mana, so you're gonna be able to hook more. And that's kinda it. He kinda played the same way as support. He's maybe a bit weaker than all-in, maybe. If you do multiple autos with W. Hey Kareem. Hey Kareem. What did I play? Syndra? Looks like a decent Syndra game. Don't play Syndra. Could play Corki, but he's so bad. Okay, hey Kareem. Hey Kareem is a bit interesting to me. Mana cost, so base mana is gonna go basically down, right? So he's gonna get less mana per level. Mana region is gonna go up, but that really doesn't matter in jungle. Q cost is gonna go down. W cost is gonna go down. W Omnivamp is going to go down. So, TLDR here is that, from what I can understand reading this, is that you will have less incentive to go mana immune because you will have less of a mana problem. If you do go still mana immune, then you're going to be dealing less damage because you're going to have less mana, so mana immune is going to give you less AD. This is, I guess, the TLDR that I'm seeing. And then W is just a straight up nerf, no matter what build you go. So the champ is probably getting... I don't know if he's getting nerfed or not. It depends. I think if Hecarim is allowed to play without... how do you say it? Without... If Hecarim is allowed to play without Manamon, then the champion will be fine because he can just go Shojin, which is a really good item on him now. But if he's still gonna need Manamon, then I think the champ will be nerfed. And I think it's deserved. I think these nerfs are really deserved. I'm really happy. I wish Riot would touch his Q, but they didn't. I'll do the rest after the game. Quinn. Health growth up by 8, Q damage down by 20, E damage down by 20. This is a nerf to Quinn. Not much else to say. Bye. Passive shield is going to go up, max HP. Passive cooldown refund is going to go to 4 seconds, so she's going to proc passive way more often. E cooldown is going to go down by 2 early rank, and then R damage is going to go down. This is probably like a nerf to like full squishy, full DPS R builds. And if you buy anything bruisery / tanky, it's probably a buff to buy. That's it. Xin Zhao, passive heal is going to be pretty much better. So yeah, Xin is just gonna heal more. Doesn't really fix the champ. Immortal Shield Bow is going to give more lifeline in early levels. Item is the same. Because you don't buy this first item. You buy it second or third. In most cases, third. So, I don't think the item is much better. A bit better. Gore Drinker, 100 health for no reason. Item is buffed. Shy Baker, 75 health for no reason. Item is buffed. BT, 20% last threshold. A bigger nerf to melee champions than range champions. Not much else to say. Even shout 3% damage champ. Item is probably still overtuned. Futures market nerfed. This is the biggest nerf to junglers. Because a lot of first strike junglers can take futures market for free without losing anything. And they can get like Dirk on a 900 gold base or whatever. So this is a bigger nerf to junglers than laners. Static Shoe nerfed, 15% AP ratio. LeBlanc and Kai'Sa nerf. Catch-up XP rounding. Jungle catch-up XP level difference always runs up rounds normally. No clue what this means. Dragon now displays a patience bar. Useless. Duskblade no longer invulnerable to damage while untargetable. So what does that mean? I have no idea. The dots can damage you, I guess, or what? I don't know. Spear of Shojin no longer builds out of BF, but builds out of pickaxe. That's a huge buff. Health up by 150, damage down by 5. That's also a buff to the item. Dragon Force is going to basically be better early and worse late game. So Spear of Shojin is pretty much buffed here. Especially a second and third item. Especially second item. Maybe even first item. Spear of Shojin is way better to buy early now. I don't know, this item is buffed. We're gonna see, okay, here's what we're gonna see, okay? We're gonna see Gore Drinker, Spear of Shojin build buff, or like Lethality, like Eclipse Spear of Shojin, or whatever it's going to be. We're gonna see so much of that in jungle, bro. Especially in jungle, even in lane. Jace will now go Spear of Shojin third instead of Serge's Grudge, I think. There's going to be so many champions that will abuse this item. Jax will buy Spear of Shojin second even more now than before. Any champion that wants HP, haste, and AD is going to buy this. I don't know. I think Spear of Shojin will probably be OP. Hecarim will buy Spear of Shojin now. Jarvan is winning so hard with this item, by the way. And Gore Drinker. Jarvan just got double buff this patch. Camille is probably gonna buy Shojin at some point, yeah. Maybe some champions will buy it first, but I'll adopt it. I think it's second, probably. Lee Sin jungle might buy this item instead of Black Cleaver. I don't know. I have no idea why Riot Games... I have no idea why Riot gives so much stats on an item. I just don't think this item is balanced. Like, wouldn't Nasus be buying this as well? Like, I think of Nasus and I'm like, this is a perfect item for the champion. Maybe Nasus will rush this item. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. This item looks so OP. Usually feels bad for even to get Shojin, since you stack so much CDR anyway, but could replace one of Hydra and Cleaver. Riven, I think, needs Hydra in most cases. Maybe not, actually. I mean, she kinda does. Is Bloodthirst a change a buff? No. Bloodthirst is nerfed for every champion. This is a nerf. Fiora Shojin. Yeah, Fiora can buy Shojin if she wants to. What do Fiora players buy? They buy... Wait, what do Fiora players buy? Hydra, Triforce, Pool Breaker usually. Thing is, like, Fiora players kinda need like other items before Shojin. I don't know. I think junglers, especially junglers, I think Shojin is such a crazy buff. Lux games next patch? Yeah, probably. Lux is buff next patch, yeah, so...